Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555. Hope you're doing well on this Saturday morning. So I'm trying to bang quite a few out, but they're not necessarily cards today, it's just more talking. So as we transition into the awakening and the things that we are aware of as we awaken and the things that we've subliminally known in our soul, but we just haven't had the confirmation. And as we awaken, we start to get clarity on certain things, and then our intuition heightens and things like that. And we start to see things for what they really are, not the illusion that people create. And we start to see people for who they are as well. And that's not putting them down, that's just they are who they are, but the things that they do, sometimes they'll smile in your face and they'll do so many nefarious things behind your back, it's untrue. But that's things that they need to deal with, and they need to understand why they do it, and that's probably part of their generational curse, is that they need to look at and understand why they behave the way they do. We don't know why other people do the things they do, and yes, you could put trauma on it, and as children we're all traumatized to a point, but you can't carry your trauma around in a big bag and then go around and do it to everyone else because you refuse to look at it and heal it. That's not an excuse for me. Now, I'm not devaluing the trauma that anyone went through, but then they don't know the trauma that I went through. But I don't go around harming others. I take responsibility and I go get the help that I need, or I go within and understand why I do the things that I do, whether it's something that's happened to me or whether it's a past life thing, but I still do the work and make sure that it doesn't affect anybody else. And I hope that makes sense, because when people get into relationships, same as when I talk about the attachment styles and the love languages, when people get into relationships, if they don't understand themselves, how can they possibly be in a relationship with somebody else? If you don't understand your own triggers and you don't understand how you operate in the world, how can you possibly be in a relationship with somebody else? That can be friendship, family, whoever, and then say that you love somebody when you don't actually love yourself enough to be able to heal yourself, to then be able to love others. It doesn't make sense to me, but you figure that out when you awaken. Anyway, today's session I want to add to the global strategy, and that was all about the fraud, wasn't it? So, we all know that there was a reason why they had this global strategy. My name, maybe others. I would assume that as I've woken up this morning and there's a few things hit me this morning, that it was probably a lot of people that they've done it to. And what do I mean by that? So we know there was something I shared previously, and I said it was a gentleman who was being interviewed, and he said he married a 60-year-old witch before he was born, and I can't remember his name, but I will put it in there. And it's from the Storm Prayer or something. But anyway, I will put it in the box. But the reason why I say is he's an ex-Satanist, and he was explaining how things work, and they study you, then they investigate you, then they move into your community, then they do this, then they do that. There's like a pattern and a strategy the way they do stuff. So from my point of view, the global strategy, and I posted it, didn't I? Why did they go to the extreme lengths to create an illusion, steal my identity, create a false narrative, use their whole global network of very official people and people in positions that can sign off fake documents and all sorts of stuff, and we know that happens. Why did they do all that and then try and pin it on someone else, and then try and make out that person is something, and then take me out of my home, turn me upside down, try and drain my finances, even though God gave me the blessings of the house sale and everything else and my savings, and then they've just gone in and helped themselves. Why do they do all that? So I've just obviously I was thinking about it this morning, and I obviously got an idea of why, but then I was watching another reader. So we know the whole system is corrupt, and the system is a corrupt system. And we also know that one of the subliminal adverts I got. Now you're gonna have to excuse me because I've got someone who really doesn't want me to talk, and they keep holding on to me, and it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. I had someone hitting my throat chakra all night last night, and I was coughing loads last night, so please bear with me. And they're constantly smacking me on the head as well, so please bear with me, but I'm going to get it out. That's what we're here for. God's about truth and righteousness, and I'm going to speak my truth. Whether only one person sees it, because they are controlling the channel anyway, but I know God's going to release that, and it will get sorted at some point. When you hit into these types of things in spirituality, you have to go from law, which is fixed, and we know that can be paid for. Not everybody, but we know there can be some undesirables in there. Faith is important, because God will always fight for us. So, beloved, do not avenge, for I shall avenge and I shall repay, says the Lord. Vengeance is mine. So we have to work on faith, and we have to work on follow the process, because we know that God is always in the background doing stuff and moving stuff and making sure the right people are in the right place on the physical ground, making sure that they see what they need to see when they need to see it, because where there's darkness, there's light, and where there's corruption, there's righteousness, and we know that. So, the corrupt system. So for me, my identity was stolen. I believe my identity has been stolen since birth, and I know that there's questions around my birth, who I am, blah, 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 blah. So my identity has been stolen since birth. So they've created this false narrative, and they've created all these illusions. They've used the power of suggestion to be able to make people see me in a different way than I actually am. The question there is, should that person have gone and done their own due diligence to find out whether actually what was said was true? I would say yes. Never take the opinion of someone else, because if you do, you've got to ask yourself, are you a leader in your own life or a follower? And if you actually take the suggestion of somebody else, you could miss out on your life. And you miss out on the great opportunity of your life with somebody, but because someone said something, you chose not to. Now, that's not putting that person down, because there's a reason why they did that at the time, and we don't know what that reason is, but that is potentially what happens. So for me, why did they do the global strategy? I believe it was because they were using the identity to rack up loads and loads and loads and loads of debt around the world, probably, creating illusions, using my name, because remember, I had parking fines in places I didn't even go to. I got pulled over by a police officer when I was stationary, and they had a camera with them. They happened to have a camera with them. But I did phone up the court and there was nothing there. So it was like everything was being created. And then obviously all my mail was being stolen, so I don't get access to my mail. Then they stopped me with my cars and they started messing with cars. Someone tried to run the car into a barrier on the motorway, all sorts of stuff. And you got to ask yourself, why did they want me gone? So for me, I believe, and all the heavy witchcraft that they do, I believe it was because they've run up so much debt in my name, lived a luxury lifestyle, and I posted about on the Kipper cards about the luxury lifestyle and everything else. They've had this luxury lifestyle, and then what they want to do is eradicate the debt, get rid of the person whose name it is, and then the debt dies with them, doesn't it? And I think that's the corruption of the system. That's what they do. That's what they do. Why else would I have gone through all the things I've gone through on my YouTube channel, and why are they trying to block the truth if that's not the truth? So I believe that's what they do, and I don't believe I'm the only person they've ever done it to. And then you've got all the people in the different industries, i.e. organisations and institutions, who are placed in certain places so these things get through. And then they use fake documents, fake marriages and all sorts of stuff. So I think that for me is the reason why I have gone through all the things I've gone through. And then obviously you've got people operating in the world as you, in different countries around the world. So why am I saying that? From a social justice point of view, we need more tighter controls on our identity and how we can protect that, our banks and our credit cards and our mobile phones, because people are in mine, and our computers and everything else. But also, if people are associated to other groups, i.e. outside of their work, they should be expected to declare it as standard. And I also think, I was looking at the Witchcraft Act the other day. I know it's not in force at the minute, but I do believe that if you are going to operate on those types of things, then we need some sort of formal register that says, dark arts, light arts. and then everyone's clear on what people are doing. And not to sort of say we're going to control it, but when I look around the world at some of the things these, you know, people who are in positions of power in governments and stuff, and the taxes that they're putting on people, and the silly, for me, I think some of the silliness that they're passing bills on, and they're not looking at the real world and some of the things that are important in the real world. For me, them are the sort of things that we should be putting a bit more scrutiny on, so that we can manage it better. Not necessarily control it, but at least it's managed and it's safe for me personally. So yeah, so the global strategy, what was the reason? I believe create an illusion, create false narratives, get a lot of people in very senior positions to sign things off who are obviously part of the dark side of the system and not the light side of the system, steal people's identities, build up loads of debt, have a lovely lifestyle, and then that person becomes the person that is the dumping ground, and they take them out, whether that be on the physical or with the dark arts, which is obviously what they've tried to do to me on a lot of occasions, and going back into medical reports and trying to, recreate old illnesses. Sorry. It's come out really loud, that, hasn't it? Anyway, I'm going to go, and I'll catch you on the next one. But yeah, food for thought. I'll catch you on the next one. I'll see you later. Have a great day, and lots of healing. See ya. Bye.